Today on Studio G, we take a look at several events as the semester wraps up.
We also see how a southwestern state stays hydrated during a drought.
And we are joined by Noelle Masangkay from the Rebelutionaries.
Don't go anywhere. Studio G starts right now. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Trevor Glisson.
And I'm Arlette Youssef.
The parched southwestern United States is no stranger to drought. In El Paso, they're treating sewage water that comes from toilets, sinks, and washing machines and sending it back into the tap. While this system has been used for agriculture, El Paso is the first large municipality in the United States to send it back into public drinking water. CNN's Dr. Sanjay Gupta reports.
You're looking at the place where the Rio Grande, the mighty river, once flowed. Today, dust and sand instead of water. This is El Paso, Texas. Just across the border, Juarez, Mexico. Hardly any rain here, not much humidity, just dry.
We were forecast to be running out of water by the year 2020.
Ed Archuleta ran the water utility in El Paso when that dire prediction was made. In 1989. Then, El Pasoans were using around 200 gallons of water per person per day. And so Ed's first order of business was to simply preach conservation. Residents were paid to turn green lawns into brown desert landscapes. And it helped, quite a bit. Today, El Pasoans have cut their water usage by 35% per person. But, for a city that significantly relied on the river, it was becoming increasingly dry.
There's no question that I think that climate changes are affecting the Rio Grande.
To better understand what climate change looks like here, we traveled 2 hours upriver just outside of Truth or Consequences, New Mexico. We've made our way now to the Elephant Butte Dam. You can see it over here behind me. Built in 1916. At times, the water has become so high that it would actually spill through the dam. But take a look at the water levels now. It's about 3% of the total capacity.
What we are seeing is a systematic increase in temperature. So we're seeing the snowmelt runoff earlier than historical and a more rapid melt than average. And again, for a given level of snowpack, less runoff actually reaching the river and reaching our reservoir here.
Phil King is a professor of civil engineering at New Mexico State University. We're certain that what we're seeing here is worsened by climate change.
With very high confidence, yes.
A reservoir like this may fill again one day, but when it does, it probably won't fill as quickly, and the water will drain faster than ever before. That's the thing about climate change. It doesn't happen drip by drip. It is cycles that are continually getting worse and worse. And so to keep this major American city from going completely dry, despite being nowhere near a coast, they built the world's largest inland desalination plant. It treats the brackish water underneath El Paso's main aquifers.
It basically gives El Paso an insurance policy against drought.
Another, more provocative step, creating a closed loop. It's exactly what it sounds like. Treating sewage water and then sending it directly back into drinking water pipes. Toilet to tap. Gilbert Trejo of El Paso Water shows me how it's done. It starts by filtering out solids like rags and wipes out of raw sewage. Then there are many levels of filtration and treatment for the bacteria, viruses, and everything else.
Moment of truth, let's do it. Okay, let's do this. Smells like water, looks like water. Cheers.
It's what is necessary to make El Paso drought resistant.
It tastes like water.
Although a rather unusual technique, El Paso seems to be making the most out of their resources during the drought.
In Washington, a service was held for former President George H.W. Bush. His family, friends, and colleagues shared their thoughts.
President George Herbert Walker Bush loved his family, and he served his country. His example will always inspire, and his lifetime of service will be enshrined in the hearts of the American people forever.
Lines began forming outside the Capitol Rotunda Monday night as the public waited to pay their respects to the life and legacy of former President George H.W. Bush. Members of Congress, cabinet members, and others among the first here in Washington to pay tribute to the 41st President of the United States, whose first post in the nation's capital was in the U.S. House.
Throughout his life of service, President Bush personified grace. His character was second to none.
Also paying respects at the Capitol Monday night, President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump. Tributes acknowledging both the former president and also his wife of 73 years, Barbara, who passed away in April for the family's service to the country. Following the National Cathedral ceremony Wednesday, Bush's body will be flown back to Houston for a private ceremony before being transported by train to his library in College Station, where he will be at his final resting place.
We have this chance to come together to share our grandfather with the public here in the Capitol, but in short time bring him back to Texas where he'll be buried.
The former president will be laid to rest on Thursday, December 6th. We'll be right back after the break.
Metropolis is a 30-minute show that airs every Tuesday evening at 91.5. You're going to hear Dr. Gary Larson along with our regular contributors talking about what matters to our community. And not only what matters, but why does it matter? We look at our community as a whole, but we also pay special attention to what's happening here at UNLV because that's our home as well. So looking at our Metropolis through the lens of a radio show really gives us the unique perspective to tell a story through words and through people, and I think it makes for a great program.
Do an internship, you have to do an internship. It's one of the requirements for a journalism major. You have to do an internship before you can graduate.
Definitely having an internship as a requirement really helps push yourself out there and to just remind you that your graduation is coming up soon. You're going to have to need some work experience in your career. So it's really good to put yourself out there early on, and they tend to help students a lot more. So when you do a student internship, it really helps out a lot.
We're nearing the end of the 2018 fall semester, and many clubs are beginning to wrap up their operations. Reporter Timothy Klein brings us more on one of those clubs.
As the semester comes to a close, many students are getting ready for winter break. But one organization, however, is preparing itself for the upcoming semester. The UNLV Students Organizing Diversity Activities, or UNLV SODA for short, recently held their end-of-the-year social inside the Center for Social Justice, near the upperclassmen dorms. The purpose of the social is to encourage students to join UNLV SODA, as well as brainstorm several ideas to incorporate into UNLV's spring 2019 semester. Old as well as new members of SODA gathered to discuss potential events in the future, one of which will be the 4th annual Parade of Flags, which was held at the Valerie Pita Plaza this November. The social began with several icebreakers and included a DIY succubus plant for participating members. Food and beverage were also provided as well. For Studio G, I'm Timothy Klein.
Diversity is a defining part of UNLV. We hope next semester brings in many more events on campus.
Recently in Henderson, the 25th annual Cactus Gardens was lit up. Reporter Nestor Sanchez has more.
With Christmas around the corner, the Vegas Valley is getting to a festive mood. Here at the SON's Chocolate Factory in Henderson, they lit up their cactus garden and opened it to the public.
With this being the 25th anniversary of the Cactus Gardens, many of the participants have been here before.
I've been going to the Cactus Garden since I was about 10 or so I'm 23 now, so about 13 years. It's been an interesting place to be going to every year. I like it because they have a collection of not just cacti, but desert plants that are from all over the world.
The Cactus Gardens is the perfect place to spend time with friends and family. The colorful lights and Christmas music aren't the only things you'll find here. You can also take a free tour of the chocolate factory and get some free samples. And if you're lucky, you'll catch Santa here on the weekends. If you're worried it's too dark to take pictures, they set up an area where you're allowed to take selfies of yourself in a snow globe. The Cactus Garden is located on the cross-section of Sunset and Mount Vista in Henderson. The lights are turned on from dusk until 10 p.m. The Cactus Garden will be open until January 6th. For Studio G, I'm Nestor Sanchez.
Those lights are beautiful. It's always great to see the community get together during the holiday season. We'll be right back after the break.
Do an internship, you have to do an internship. It's one of the requirements for a journalism major. You have to do an internship before you can graduate.
Definitely having an internship as a requirement really helps push yourself out there and to just remind you that your graduation is coming up soon. You're going to have to need some work experience in your career. So it's really good to put yourself out there early on, and they tend to help students a lot more. So when you do a student internship, it really helps out a lot.
As far as Studio G, at first it looks overwhelming, and at first it looks like it's a lot of work, but I'll tell you what, it's the most beneficial class I've had at UNLV to date, without a doubt. You get to not only develop stories and work on your interviewing skills, your editing skills, and your shooting skills from a camera perspective, you get to work on all the equipment that's in the studio. So you're working on audio, you're working on directing, tech directing, you get to produce your own show. You can take a 30-minute newscast and make it your own. And that's really cool about Studio G. Like I said, a lot of it seems overwhelming at first, but it is by far the best class I've taken at UNLV since I've been here.
Good morning, Rebels. My name is Nestor Sanchez, and as you can see, the weather today is 48 degrees, while the highest you're going to expect today is 56, and the lowest is going to be 40. It's going to be a sunny day today. Let's go through our weekly forecast. As you can see, throughout the entire week, it's actually going to be pretty cold. Friday and Saturday are going to be expected the warmest that you're going to see this week. And on Thursday, there's actually a 30% chance of rain. So if you missed rain last week, Thursday might be the chance for you to see it again. It's going to be mostly cloudy on Wednesday, and today it's going to be mostly sunny. And throughout the week, it's going to be pretty cold at night. So if you're going to stay here for study week, make sure you bring something warm. All right, let's go through our weather through the city. Centennial's at 45, Summerlin's at 43, Las Vegas, North Las Vegas, and Southern Highland are all at 48. Nellis is at 46, Green Valley is at 46 as well, and Henderson's at 49. So this morning is actually pretty cold compared to the other because most of them are in either the high 40s and some places are even the low 40s. All right, let's go to the weather for our campus. For right now, it's 48 degrees, visibility is 10 miles, the wind speed is 9 miles per hour, and the humidity is 29. Let's see the weather for tonight. All right, for tonight, it's going to be a very cold 44 degrees. If you're going to be here in the library, make sure you bring a jacket or a blanket, maybe some coffee, maybe some hot chocolate. Make sure you stay warm tonight if you're going to be here in the later hours. It's going to be a partly clear sky. There might be some clouds, there might not, and there might be a small breeze throughout the day. All right, we'll be right back. We'll be back at the anchor desk after the break.
The show's name is the Rebel and Revolt Show. Pretty good show about, you know, just someone who will actually talk about UNLV the way an outsider might feel. We talk about current events, we talk about politics, try to take an offensive swing with it. Sometimes it's hit or miss, but and we talk about, you know, the little things in life that everybody laughs about. And we are the Rebels and we are revolting. My name is Jameson Wilk and I run the Rebel and Revolt Show, and you can tune in at therebelhd2.com.
I'm Kylie O'Rourke.
I'm Shervin Mushuri.
I'm Langston Carter.
Hi, I'm Holly.
My name is Anna.
My name is Jameson Wilk.
Window on the Middle East.
Spinning Indie.
Good News with Holly.
It's Jazz and a Touch of Soul.
It's Latin Nights with Anna.
The Rebel and Revolt Show.
And you can check it out on therebelhd2.com.
Hello, welcome to our interview today. Today I'm joined by Noelle Masangkay, the editor-in-chief of the Rebelutionaries.
Yes.
What's up, Noelle? Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
So just to start, can you tell us more about Rebelutionaries and what your mission is on campus?
Okay, so the Rebelutionaries is a new student organization we just started last year. Our main goal is to fundraise for Children's Miracle Network hospitals. And if you don't know what Children's Miracle Network Hospitals is, it's a nonprofit organization that houses various hospitals across the United States. The Children's Miracle Network Hospital here is St. Rose Dominican, which is on St. Rose Parkway. And basically what we do is raise funds through it through several fundraisers. We have on-campus fundraisers sometimes we sell hot chocolate or like Otter Pops. And then our main fundraising event is through this thing called a dance marathon. And basically for the dance marathon, it's like a 4 to 6 hour event where basically you're just standing on your feet the whole time, having a good time while raising funds for the Children's Miracle Network hospitals.
Now, when did the dance marathon take place, and when do you have another one scheduled?
So the one that we just had took place October 25th of this year, and that was pretty successful, and we are currently in the process of planning a new one. It's going to happen next semester. It'll be March 14th, so Pi Day, so look forward to that.
Awesome, awesome. Now, as far as the contributions and the commendable work that you've done to help benefit St. Rose Dominican, have you been able to ever visit the hospital and just see the kids that your work impacts?
We have been able to visit the hospital, yes. We do go at least once a semester to kind of help solidify what we're doing, to help kind of inspire us, because being able to work for the hospital is one thing, but being able to see your impact is another. So what we did is we took a visit to the hospital a couple of months ago, and we got to check out their NICU unit, so the premature baby unit, and we got to see, because hospital care is very, very expensive, and especially for premature babies, which is what St. Rose focuses on. So we got to see some of the premature babies. It was a very, very touching moment, because some of these babies, they're in the hospital for 3, 4, or 5 months, and normally that would be very expensive. But because of people like us who are able to contribute to the hospital, it's a nonprofit hospital. So because of our contributions, these families don't have to pay millions and millions of dollars, because we're able to kind of subsidize that for them, and it's very, very touching.
Are there any other hospitals that can join the Miracle Network or that would be eligible here in the Valley?
With that one, I'm not sure. All I know is that right now, St. Rose Dominican is the only hospital in Las Vegas. But like I said, across the country, there are hospitals partnered with Children's Miracle Network. I don't know necessarily how a hospital would go about being able to sign up for that, but I'm sure it's a thing.
Okay, so we have the Pi Day dance fundraiser coming up. Are there any other avenues that the Rebelutionaries are trying to go down in order to raise more money?
Yes, like I said, we do on-campus fundraisers. So leading up to the actual event, because like I said, that is our huge main push, and months of planning goes into that. But along the way, starting next semester, probably right when we get back that first week of school, we're going to have on-campus fundraisers where we sell things. In February, we're going to do a Valentine's Day fundraiser. That's going to be really cute. We're also planning a cake pop one, and we also plan to partner with not local, but like nearby restaurants to help do off-campus fundraisers as well. So we partner with them to get more fundraisers. So there is a lot in store for us too.
So between you and the other directors of the organization, what would you define as your main goal, or just some of the motives or some of the motivations you have just to carry out your work?
Well, like I said, the main goal overall is to, raise funds for these kids, because these kids, we were all kids at one point. So, living that normal childhood life. These kids, they don't really get to live that normal childhood life because, unfortunately, they are diagnosed with illnesses that are very severe. So our main goal is to be able to provide the way to help them live the most normal life as possible through raising these funds. So for me, I just knowing that I am able to help these kids who are just so small, they don't know what's going on in the world. They just were unfortunately struck in with something that is very, very severe, whether it's like it can go from as severe to cancer or to even pneumonia some of these kids are being treated for. And so being able to provide them with the means to live a normal life and to be happy, I feel like that enough is very inspiring, and I feel like I can speak on behalf of the entire committee. Just being able to see the impact that you make on these kids, to make them smile, it's just something that's really life-changing.
Now, for the students that are watching this and that are inspired and want to do what they can to pitch in and contribute and help, how would they get in touch with you? What's the easiest way to reach you?
Okay, so the easiest way to reach us probably would be to follow us on our social media, which should be at CMN Rebelution. So that would be CMN Rebel, like REBEL, Ution, UTION. Reach out to us on there, email us about that, or reach out to us there, DM us on that, and then we can get back to you if you have any questions. We are going to be looking for people who want to help out too. We will have volunteers that we will be looking for our actual dance marathon. So if you don't want to donate, you can always donate your time too, because everything counts.
Well, that is CMN Rebelution on social media. We'd like to thank Noelle for joining us. We'll be right back with you after the break.
This is a 30-minute show that airs every Tuesday evening at 91.5. You're going to hear Dr. Gary Larson along with our regular contributors talking about what matters to our community. And not only what matters, but why does it matter? We look at our community as a whole, but we also pay special attention to what's happening here at UNLV, because that's our home as well. So looking at our metropolis through the lens of a radio show really gives us the unique perspective to tell a story through words and through people, and I think it makes for a great program.
We are member supported. KUNV 91.5, The Source. Here's why you should become a member. Become a part of the public radio family while keeping jazz alive in Southern Nevada. Every member receives a discount card to businesses and restaurants around the valley, along with a premium of KUNV branded items, exclusive access to KUNV ticket giveaways for concerts and events, and private members-only events with prominent musicians such as Paul Taylor, Vincent Ingala, and many more. We are 91.5 The Source, and that source is you. So become a member today.
Welcome back. On Studio G last week, we had coverage of the Fremont Cannons painting here on campus. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the tradition, Sebastian Ross has more.
In a Nevada tradition like no other, UNLV and Reno meet on the gridiron every fall to play for arguably the coolest trophy in college football, the Fremont Cannon. The trophy you see today was built back in 1970, and it happens to be the biggest rivalry trophy in college football. Now, the 545-pound trophy pays homage to John C. Fremont, a Civil War-era soldier, explorer, and politician. The cannon is a replica of the cannon Fremont used in his expeditions through the Sierra Nevada mountain ranges. The cannon was first handed out in 1970 after the rebels came out victorious in a 42-20 victory against the Wolfpack. But the rivalry wasn't always a full-time ordeal. Despite UNLV beating Reno twice in the 1980s, with one of those wins being forfeited due to an ineligible player, the Cannon spent 7 years in the Valley during the course of that decade. That all changed when the Nevada Board of Regents made the Battle for Nevada full-time in 1989. UNLV's offense showed firepower in this year's win, but the rebels are responsible for the cannon no longer being able to fire. After UNLV won the trophy in 2000, which hadn't seen its rightful Southern Nevada home in 5 years at that point. Fans accidentally dropped it during the post-game celebration, damaging it beyond repair, costing the Rebels nearly $1,500 to make it right. Luckily, UNLV brought their hands with them in this year's 34-29 win, which became the Rebels' biggest comeback in school history, after being down 23-0 at one point. Reno may be leading the series 26-18, but the Cannons' home will be in the Valley for at least one more year. For Studio G, I'm Sebastian Ross.
Congratulations again to the Rebel football team on their victory last weekend.
Finals are around the corner, and the Student Sustainability Council recently held an event to help students de-stress. Kira Cooley has more on the story.
I'm here with Student Sustainability to see how students can have a holistic wellness experience and de-stress before finals. In this room right behind me, those students are de-stressing as we speak.
It's going to help a lot of students de-stress because we have the Bhakti Yoga, and that's going to help everyone like chant and do some stretches and kind of like get it all out and de-stress.
Yeah, and we also have Reiki healing, which is a form of energy healing that in a sense works with your energy to kind of like de-stress, clear your mind. So that is really important right now with finals, as we kind of have to concentrate and be, you know, more de-stressed.
The Sustainability Council didn't just want to help students de-stress for finals. They also wanted to remind them to stay mindful about the environment.
Today's event, we wanted to make it a holistic sustainability wellness workshop, that's what it's called, to bring the perspectives of sustainability, mindfulness, and being able to connect with with nature, with our planet, in other words, our Mother Earth. And the mindfulness aspect of it comes in to be mindful of how humanity has its impact on the environment, and in that sense bring sustainability into the perspective.
In Bhakti we say something a little bit different. We say Hare Krishna. And Hare is the divine feminine, and Krishna is the divine masculine. So what we do is, the way I explain it is that the universe is a very big place, and if I say divine light, what does that mean? It's kind of vague, it's kind of big, you know? But when we say Hare Krishna, we connect with a personality. We're able to personify the universe itself, and we're able to acknowledge that personality.
This has been Kira Cooley for Studio G.
If you're having trouble relaxing, you can try some of the methods from the Holistic De-Stress event. So what do you do to relax during finals?
Well, generally I just try to, pay attention to the finals. I don't tend to stress out very often, and then I also try to get in as much contact with my friends as possible so that I'm not I can talk to my parents or something about it. So
nice.
Anyway.
That's all we have for you today. I'm Arlette Youssef.
And I'm Trevor Glisson. Thank you for joining us on Studio G.